Getting pretty warm here in London.
It's very roasty, very roasty.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any holidays planned or not?
I'm heading to New York City next week. My daughter's getting married,
Okay.
so
Of course, yeah. We've talked about this, yeah.
yeah, this will be good.
Brilliant. Hey there, Mark. Good to see you, Greg. Thanks for joining us. Cool. Every time. Hey, Steve, how's it going? Is anyone else in Europe at the moment and suffocating in the heat, on holiday? Or is it just Dan in London sweating away? Cool. Give it a couple more minutes. Yeah.
Oh, it seems.
Yes. Greg, how are things with you? Any holiday plans or?
No, not really. Not
Right.
well. Yeah. We're actually going up to New Mexico next month. But haven't been taking too much time off. Too busy.
Too busy too. That's what we like to hear. Hey there, Anthony. Good to have you on the call. Oh, I think you're on mute there.
Hey Ben, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to have you here. And John Noonan, great to have you as well on the line.
Thank you. I'll be I'm just eating a little lunch and then I'll be right there.
Yeah, either way, keep your camera off. Eat your lunch, do anything else, and you trim your toenails, do whatever you need to do. But if you want to speak, maybe get your or you can keep your camera off, but do whatever makes sense for you. Let's get started. We've got quite a number of us. We might have a couple more join. Really good to have you all here. Let me just share my screen and we can dive into this. Sorry, just tried to share that. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Right. Well, for the new joiners, I know I've sort of met all of you, but my name is Ben. I'm one of the co-founders of Revenue Flow. I also head up the CRO Roundtable and all of our other sort of roundtables as well. We're an approved partner of Sales Acceleration, and we work with quite a few fractional CROs across the US and Europe. So today's session is all around what a lead costs. So I kind of explain a bit more about what a lead costs, and effectively our idea is traditional vendors. And Scott, you guys all mind going on mute just as a bit of background noise? So if you want to go off mute, just feel free to take your mute button off. Traditional vendors like ZoomInfo, Cognizant charge a huge amount for access to leads, and I'm going to show you how you can really significantly reduce the cost of your lead enrichment bill for yourself, but also for your clients as well. So that's what we'll be diving into today. So in terms of an agenda, I'll explain a bit more about one slide on who we are, explain what the roundtable is. We'll do a quick round of introductions. I'll then explain the topic, what a lead costs, why things are changing, and why you should radically be reducing the amount that you're spending on leads. I've got a couple of discussion questions to get the topic going, and then we'll wrap up there with a bit of feedback. So quick start on who we are. Revenue Flow, we're paper qualified meeting. So we kind of work with fractional CROs and CMOs, and we're purely performance based. So if we want to generate qualified meetings for clients, that's exactly what we do. In terms of the roundtable, what this room is for, it's for fractional CROs who've got between minimum 20 years of experience and are now getting to the position where they're advising clients. You're very, very strategic individuals, but the world of AI is evolving so quickly that it's very difficult to keep abreast of what's going on. Anthropic's release notes are every week. There's always a new model. There's always a new change. We live and breathe this. All we do, we obsess about how to book meetings. So this is what we do. So the purpose of this call is we just want to share exactly what we're seeing, what we're learning about in real time, and we're constantly learning. Even from 2 weeks ago, we've learned a bunch which we want to share with you. And it'll also help you kind of connect with other fractional CROs so that you can get their perspective on how they're approaching problems as well. So what we're going to do is, we're quite a few on this call today. Rapid fire introductions, no more than 20 seconds per person, but this is just to kind of get the room going. And I might have to cap these at one point because we are quite a few. But what I'd love to have is your name, where you're calling from, and where you get most of your lead data for clients right now. Would be really good to get that context there. So maximum 20 seconds per person, just so we can get through the content for today. Anthony DeGraw, would love for you to start here.
Yeah, Anthony DeGraw. I'm located on the Jersey Shore, about an hour south of New York City. I work specifically in the MSP, Managed IT Services, Cybersecurity and Compliance space. And I've gotten data from ZoomInfo, Apollo, Sales Navigator, all of them.
Awesome. Cheers for that, Anthony. Bob, over to you.
Yep. Thanks, Ben. Hello, everyone. My name is Bob Gahan. I'm based out of the Boston, Massachusetts area. I spent a career in third-party logistics. I'm now into a fractional chief commercial officer role, helping other 3PLs build their business into in healthcare. So I'm working with kind of a virtual assistant, offshore, in a lead generation environment, Ben. So
Brilliant. Cheers, Bob. Appreciate that. Dale, over to you.
Hi guys, good morning. Dale Shepherd. I run Trinity Hawk. We're a sales go-to-market consultancy. Me as fractional CRO is one of those things. We're also a HubSpot partner and have our arm as well. We work with B2B services organizations headquartered in the UK and the US. Where do I get most of my leads for clients? Sales Nav is a big one. I might use some of the tools for enrichment and scraping it off Sales Nav to then do something with that. But I've used the whole gamut, whether it's Zoom, Apollo, Hunter, Better Contact, Freckle, and everything in between.
Brilliant. Cheers, Dale. A lot of Sales Navs and Apollos going around. So they're our enemies for today. Dan Hinman, over to you.
Hi everyone, Dan Henman, originally from Boston, but I live in London now. I'm a fractional CRO with sales acceleration with clients in the US and throughout the UK. Most of the clients, I point them towards Seamless.ai, KnowledgeNet, and LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Awesome. Cheers, Dan. Really, really helpful. Dano, over to you. Is it Dano? Apologies if I'm butchering that.
It's Dano. Yes.
Dano. Sorry, Dano.
Yeah, no worries. I run a couple startups, mostly advising my sons and their startups. And some of them we do voice with AI. Some of them we do tags to find stuff. We get our leads primarily from LinkedIn, Sales Navigator. And I've used some of the others as well, Seamless, and I don't know, quite a few others. So
Cool.
I'm based in Santaquin, Utah, so just south of Salt Lake.
Awesome. Lovely to have you, Dano. Thanks so much for the intro. David, over to you. David Ayub.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Dave Ayub, currently a Chief Growth Officer for MutualLink, located here in Virginia, Northern Virginia. I've been in the federal space now for roughly about 25, almost 30 years. Formerly a Chief Technology Officer for Fortune 500 companies before I came into the sales side of the house, started running businesses and stuff. That being said, also have a advisory firm, Ayub CXO advisory group here in the Beltway as well, that I've been managing for a couple of years. Kind of like Dano, guiding the kids into their career spaces, and at the same time, friends and family advising as well. So appreciate it.
Brilliant. Cheers, David. And where do you get your leads from?
So, sorry, leads predominantly LinkedIn Sales Navigator, ZoomInfo. There are a couple smaller tools that are out there that we use as well, but the big ones are predominantly LinkedIn Sales Navigator and ZoomInfo.
Cool. Thanks for that, David. Greg, over to you. Greg Kostiak.
Yeah, hi, everybody. So I am a sales acceleration licensee as well, based in Texas. Most of my clients are in either the Houston or the Austin area. I don't ordinarily have a lisp, but I'm waiting on a dental implant, so I've got a retainer in, so hopefully that'll go away soon. I've tried all of them, I think, or not all of them, but all the big ones. I've kind of migrated, or I use Apollo more than anything else, probably. Or should I say my assistant uses it more than anything else? And Sales Navigator can't seem to get away from it despite the cost. So yeah, it's something that's open on my desktop all the time.
Awesome. Cheers for that, Greg. And this True Sales Nav is very easy, obviously a bit costlier. So today we're going to show like the cheapest way of getting these enriched leads. Jeff, over to you. Jeff Clare.
How are you? Like Greg, I'm also with Sales Acceleration, as a number of us are. I'm based in Fairfield, Connecticut. Yeah, I've used so many of them. Seamless, I've worked with clients on Apollo, KnowledgeNet, because I believe more in relationship building than just in trying to figure out ways in. And like Greg, I still have Sales Navigator. Every month I say, gee, why am I paying this? I have other means of using it, and it's still there. And I use it for a lot of research tools as well. The one I really don't use because the cost is so prohibitive is Zoom Info. It's great, but I think it's just crazy expensive for my client base.
No, absolutely. It really is. And we'll be diving into the cost of that today. John Noonan.
Yeah, thank you. John Noonan with Sales Acceleration as well. I'm based out of White Plains, New York, about 20 miles north of New York City, not far from Jeff up there in Connecticut. And I have absolutely used them all. Had several clients heavy into Zoom Info, and again, watched them spend insane amount of money that they never recouped. But today, myself, same thing. I don't know why I have Sales Navigator, but I have it. And KnowledgeNet, I've got 2 clients on KnowledgeNet right now, which is fairly cost effective in the world of what's out there.
Cool. Appreciate that, John. Mark Osborne.
Hi, everybody. Mark Osborne, based in Los Angeles, California. I, like many of you, I manage marketing, sales, and recurring and expansion revenue systems. I'm primarily working with earlier stage companies that can't afford to have a separate marketing function and sales function, and so they don't really qualify for sales acceleration, but they need somebody that'll handle sort of revenue systems across. As everyone has said, I use all the tools, working with larger companies as well as smaller ones. I was just trying to think of something unique to add, which is the other place that we have gotten information is licensing partner lists, like email lists or customer lists that they have, and using that as part of, sort of like partner or joint venture or affiliate programs. So that's the only new data source that I could add to what everyone else has said.
I'll second that, Mark. I find myself that, I get with clients and they're in a specific industry and there's an association or a 501c organization, and those can be really, really fruitful in terms of a lot of times if you join, they'll give you the list. So
yep. And then enriching with Clay, and who knows where exactly they're getting it from to, sort of take it beyond just the name and email.
Yeah, absolutely. Clay is obviously a data aggregator, pretty expensive as well. So today the idea is around how you kind of drive those costs down for your cost conscious clients. Michael Wills.
Hey everybody, Michael Wills, based in North Carolina, one of the original Sales Acceleration advisors, 11 years now. A lot of clients in a lot of industries in those 11 years. My go-to now really is the KnowledgeNet tech platform with really an AI base that's creating the ICP and doing all that lead enrichment. And I'm using that both for clients and for myself.
Brilliant. Awesome, Michael. Thanks for that context. Nicole, over to you.
Hi, yeah, Nicole Vorkapich. I'm Sales X2. I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana. I use KnowledgeNet. I've actually just put 2 clients on KnowledgeNet. I love it. I definitely have moved away from Sales Navigator. KnowledgeNet has helped me to do that, so that has saved me some money. In my corporate world, I definitely used Zoom Info. I dabbled in Apollo a little bit. I really like it, but it was kind of cost prohibitive for me personally. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Steve Roger.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Steve Roger, based out of Southern California, here with Mark, and I work on primarily the early stage B2B tech companies that are trying to figure out their revenue systems and how to scale quickly. From a tool standpoint, yeah, used all the major ones that everybody's been talking about. And I think something new I've been dipping into, I should say, DeepLine, as a programming piece through Claude to be able to scrape and pull emails and the right contacts within the right companies, the phone numbers, the LinkedIn connections, and then consolidating those as we go. So that's just been, I've been trialing that out for the last couple months and getting some good hits on it.
Yeah, that's great, Stephen. DeepLine is exactly like the direction that data enrichment is heading, having one API to access a bunch of data providers.
Yeah.
I think that's where the world of GTM is heading. So great that you're experimenting with that. I would love to hear if anyone else is experimenting with, API type data accesses. Any other tools? Yes, we can talk about that today. Tim, over to you.
Hello, everyone. It's my first meeting with everyone. So I am a sales acceleration advisor, started at the beginning of the year, so rather new, but had the privilege of meeting Ben. Was that last week, Ben?
Yeah.
And I'm based out of Cleveland, Ohio. And my clients, and in my previous life, it's really been kind of a combination of a Sales Navigator and Zoom. So I have done a little bit with KnowledgeNet AI, and I'm looking forward to, effective ways to generate some leads and some ideal clients through this tool. So
awesome. Thanks, Tim. Great to have you on the call. And finally, we've got someone called 20.com, which I've forgotten who that is. I'm not sure if that's a note taker or actually someone. So that might be a note. 20.com, note taker. I think it might be a note taker.
Yeah, me.
Okay, brilliant. So anyways, thank you all for that input. Really helpful. And that's given me a lot of context. I think the biggest one seems like Sales Nav, obviously Zoom Info, KnowledgeNet, Seamless pops up as well, which is obviously normal, and it's exactly what I was expecting. These are the traditional data providers. Their USP is ease of access, but obviously it comes with a cost. The solution I'm going to present today is a little bit more, takes a bit more time to implement with tech, but it's a lot cheaper. And if you're working with multiple clients, it actually helps you think about how you can scale access to data in a much more cost-effective manner. The trade-off is obviously it requires a bit of building, but now with the tools we have access today, with LLM coding abilities, it's really easy to build this out, even for yourself if you want to actually start thinking about playing around with these tools. So let's get into it. Today, I'm going to look at what a lead actually costs. So what does the market actually charge for data? What can it actually cost to build a list for today? Imagine you're working with a client, a communications client who's going after utilities, enterprise companies in the US. What would it actually cost to find every single lead, every single decision maker, and their email and their phone number? No, it's not phone number, just the email. What would that cost? And then finally, I'm going to have some reflections. How has that made you change how you think about lead gen with your clients? Or has that made zero change whatsoever and you're just going about it the same way as always, which is also fine as well. So I've done I was kind of looking at the market. I kind of mapped out what all these different solutions cost. A lot of them are the ones that you've mentioned here. You've got Zoom Info, Sales Nav, Apollo, Clay was mentioned as well. So Zoom Info, $32,000 a year on average. Cognism, between $1,500 and $4,500 per user per year. Sales Nav, $100 to $150 per month. Apollo, quite a bit. Clay, just have access to Clay between 185 to 495, and that's excluding enrichment costs. So you actually got way more costs on top of that. And then Lusher as well, you've got contact lookups, which are pretty expensive. So that's where things are today. And I'm going to show you how you can make this a lot cheaper and a lot more effective. And whilst it might take a bit of time to build up at first, you can actually then just plug and play that system whenever you're working with a client down the line. So, yeah, so I thought about, if you're working with a client and, they've got Zoom Info and Sales Nav for 5 seats, for example, that's $41,000 a year that they're spending purely just on getting the leads. That's not even getting the emails. That's not even kind of enriching them, using personalized, like context-based information for generating copy. That's purely to kind of build out that leads, which is quite a steep bill to pay. So obviously, if you actually look at what Zoom Info and what Access to Sales Navigator buys, it buys you a hell of a lot. But the thing is, it's almost overkill. Like, does one actually need all of that information, right? So with Zoom Info, you get access to their entire database, 321 million prospects, 104 million companies, unlimited searching. You can export so many leads, and then you can do a lot of kind of, and you get kind of credits, which are priced between $0.50 and $1.50. That's kind of great, but the reality is when you're working with a client, when we work with kind of CROs and their clients, like the markets are never, at the smallest they're 5,000, at the upper end there'll be 100,000 prospects. So not every single one of your companies and every single one of your clients needs all of this. And we actually mapped out what the market would look like for SMBs in the US between 2 million and 30 million. And there's about 500,000 leads. And that's like a really big market, no industry slicing or anything. So the point is that, yes, existing tools are great, but it's almost like overkill. You're using a sledgehammer to break down a paper wall, but actually you can be a lot more surgical, a lot more precise, a lot more cost effective, especially when you're working with smaller clients. So, how do you actually do this? This is a bit of context here. Your market's not going to be 321 million people. It's actually going to be a lot smaller than that. So this is actually what we do instead, and we don't actually leverage all of these fancy data providers. We've sort of built out our own system, which is a lot cheaper, and I'll explain to you how we actually go about pricing this. But the first thing we do is we build the account universe. Now that costs us $0.0005 per search to actually build that account universe, and that's just like searching, what the account universe looks like out there. We then, and I'll explain how we're doing this and what tools we're using. We then pull the people inside those accounts. So, we use a contact database and it's 1 credit per 25 leads. And I'll explain how much a credit costs in a second. You then obviously need to do an ICP filter on top of that so we can read every company and judge whether they're a good fit or not. Using an LLM model and a scraping tool, which I'll dive into in a minute. That costs us 0.0018 per scrape. Then finding the email as well, that can be free if we already have that email in our cache, or it could be $0.0166 to kind of find that email. And then to kind of verify that email as well, you always need to kind of verify beforehand at $0.0005 per verification, per lead verification. And then to kind of write that personalized line, if you're doing kind of personalized outreach via email, it's all via LinkedIn as well. It's $0.0001 per lead. I'm just going to pause there already. You can see we're talking in a fraction of what we're talking in those previous providers. We want to strip it down to its very core. What does one enriched lead cost there, and then build up from there, rather than accessing the entire database and then only finding what's relevant to you. Let's find what does one lead cost, let's enrich that lead, and then let's scale it to 5,000 or 10,000, whatever your kind of clients need. I'll just kind of pause there. Are there any initial questions on that? I'll take the silence as no, so I'll sort of carry on. So where did these leads?
I'm sorry, hey Ben, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The one I didn't understand exactly the ICP. Do you have an ICP overlay and to work from and buyer personas or not?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is, when you build out a lead list, you're going to use a rough firmographic fit initially. you'll find, companies or decision makers, but that's going to be, that data could be stale, that data couldn't necessarily, maybe it's not quite your ICP. So you want to use an LLM, like a model, like a relatively cheaper model if you can, to actually analyze that lead and run a run against it to see whether that fits your ICP or not. So we call that kind of ICP cross-checking validation. So what do we actually do instead, and where do these leads actually come from? So Prospeo is a database very similar to kind of DeepLine that Steve was mentioning earlier, that we're now using, which gives us a universe of around 30 million leads, which kind of captures most of what you're looking for. And there it's 1 credit per 25 leads, and the credit there is, it costs us like $100 a month for access to Prospeo. So really, really cheap to access that. But we've actually sort of moved off of Prospeo to another tool, which literally just yesterday before I made this presentation, which enables you to access leads through accessing AI overviews on Google search. So I don't know if you've all seen when you do a Google search about a company, say you look up sales acceleration, you look up any other company, it'll give you an AI overview. Or like, if we looked up sales acceleration, it would say Lee Brombaugh is a CEO. Nowadays, with this new tool that we've just discovered, you can programmatically access that AI overview. So you can actually build a lead database through those AI overviews on Google. That's the next step of what we're going. So this presentation is a bit older, but the core point is you no longer want to access kind of databases via the UI. You want to access one database, which gives you via one API, which gives you access to a bunch of data providers, but at a very, very cheap rate. So ZoomInfo typically kind of builds up their lead list, and they kind of gate it heavily with a big cost provider with a big cost. Prospeo is a different model, very similar to DeepLine. It's kind of one API. It gives you access to a bunch of data providers. It scrapes ZoomInfo, it scrapes LinkedIn, it scrapes a bunch of other tools. And you can access to all of those leads at a fraction of the price. So Prospeo is a fantastic tool, which I really, really recommend you guys use. And it's very, very easy. You can plug it into, Claude Code, which I spoke about 2 weeks ago, really quickly build out a lead list, agentically, programmatically, without ever leaving your coding window. Yeah, so building off of what I shared last week, using Prospeo directly in Claude Code or Codex. These are coding tools which you have to be using on a day-to-day basis. I really, really encourage this. And you can build out your lead list so quickly. And you can literally just write in Claude Code, find me a list of companies between 50 to 100 employees in New Mexico selling, enterprise software or providing dental services. And you can build out that lead list like that for a very, very cheap rate on Prospeo. But Prospeo is great, but it's only got 30 million prospects in that. So we obviously want to use another tool to kind of fill in the gaps. And we use Serpa. I don't know if anyone's heard of Serpa, but it's basically the world's fastest and cheapest kind of Google search API. It helps you to use Google search. Yeah, Mark has. Cheers, Mark. Maybe Mark, do you want to explain what Serpa does so it's not just me talking?
Sure. So it basically will scrape all of the search engine results pages, hence SERP. So if you have someone that's looking for everything off a Google map, they want to find every local dentist or every local construction company, it will scrape all of that and pull all of that publicly available data out of there. It may even also reference like footer data from websites if there are referral links in those results pages, but I'm not exactly sure there.
Yeah, spot on there. Great description, Mark. We've just gone off Serpa because we've found an even better solution. But exactly that, you can do a Google search, and if you find anything within this Google search, so say if you find a lead as you're doing this Google search, you can pull it out. So let's say we're looking at, on my example, let's say you to do like revenue flow, leadership team, something like that. You would do a Google search. Would it come up? So yeah, it would find Tim Carden, who's my brother and the AI ways of the business, Hosen Chung, who's also my co-founder, and you would be able to build out that lead list from that Google search there. Sorry, I'm just showing you the wrong tab. So revenue flow, Serpa would look at this Google search and it would be able to build out and scrape these leads directly from here. So you're not going to Zoom Info, you're not going to Sales Navigator, you're not going to Seamless, you're not going to KnowledgeNet. You're able to leverage a Google search and leverage an API which scrapes that Google search to build out your lead list. So you're doing it at a very, very cheap rate. SERPA is like, a fraction of a cent per search, and you can build out that lead list very, very quickly. But nowadays, what I was saying is we found another tool which which we're kind of testing out and rolling out in a minute. When you look at Google, it does AI overview. So sometimes if you look here, it doesn't always do them. Sometimes it does them. Well, let's see if we did Zoom Info. We wanted to find the CEO of Zoom Info. Yeah, so it hasn't got the AI overview here. I think it might have it turned off. But some of you might see that it has an AI overview, and you can actually programmatically access that data through AI overviews as well. So that's another really, really cool tool that we're testing with now. But yeah, the core point is like one database, one login, one subscription locks you into that data provider. Whereas what you want to do is like experiment with things like DeepLine, which Steve is using, which is great, like Prospeo and like SERPA, which are really, really handy tools to access a bunch of data at a fraction of the cost. You can see it's $0.005 per search on SERPA, build a lead list for a fraction of the cost. And then Prospeo has 1 credit for 25 leads, and the cost of a credit is a hundredth of a percent, something like that. So then obviously it's great to have that lead list, right? Then what we want to do is have more context about that lead, right? Because if we build out that lead list of the revenue flow founders, for example, Ben Carden, Hosan Chung, Tim Carden, Fernando, we're 4 founders. It's great, but we don't know much about revenue flow. We need to look into them. We need to see what they do. We need to look into them and analyze whether they're a right fit. So what you want to do is, Prospero and SERPA help you build out that lead database, but they don't give you any context about those leads in the first place. And this context is what Zoom Info will give you. It's what LinkedIn Sales Navigator will give you. It's what Knowledge will give you when you're looking at leads as well. And Firecall helps you to get more context about that specific lead. Tim, over to you.
Yeah, just a quick question, and that is, where these leads are coming from, are you generating those within your solution, or are we getting those and then bringing them to you? And I apologize, I'm not overly familiar with the whole comprehensive solution here.
So this is just a system that you can build out yourself. I'm just explaining the workflow that we've built out for ourselves, but anyone can build this, right?
Yes.
All you have to do is get a Claude Code account, a Claude Code, or you can use a terminal or a Codex, which is an agentic coding tool. You plug an API into it, and then you can access the leads via that API.
Okay.
Does that make it? Yeah. So an API is basically a key which enables you to access.
As a connector.
Yeah, a connector. Yeah. So that's the core principle there. And the key, if you think about a hand and a key and a door, the hand is the coding system which enables you to put the key into the socket. You take the API, which is a key, and then you put it into Google or into Google Maps, and then you can access that data there. And this blew me away. When we first started using SERPA 6 months ago, we wanted to build out a list of, I think someone mentioned all the dental practices in the US. Before that it was impossible. Honestly, you'd have to download Google Maps, find a business directory. It took literally ages. And now you can actually build out a list of dentists like that in the US at the snap of your fingers, and it takes 2 seconds. So really, really cool stuff. This is the next generation of accessing data. I really recommend that this is where the direction is heading. And I think Zoom Info and all of these tools are having to really adapt to figure out, to adapt to this new way of working. So yeah, I was going into Firecall. Firecall, what it does is it gives you context about that specific lead. So if we look at kind of revenue flow, it'll if I just kind of take us, for example, it'll go through our website and it'll just look at, okay, what do these guys do? Okay, they are, paper qualified meeting. It'll kind of look at their case studies. It'll find a bit more information about them. It'll actually give a bit more context. So then what happens is the output with Firecall and Prospero and SERPA is that, so with Prospero and SERPA, it'll just say Ben Carden, founder of Revenue Flow. With the Firecall site scraping, it'll be Ben Carden, founder of Revenue Flow, which do paper qualified meetings. They've got case studies with X, Y, and Z individual. And this is what they do. So it adds a lot more context to that lead, which to that lead, sorry, which actually enables you to then create personalized messaging off the back end if that's something that you want to do. Another tool that we use is Apify as well, which enables us to, it's a bit more expensive than Firecall, but again, really, really cheap. You can see it's 0.002 instead of 0.00083 per page. And that enables us to find a bit more context, like job postings, engagement data, finding, for example, if we wanted to scrape all of the followers of Revenue Flow, so we wanted to do outreach on them, or all of our, I think we've got 30,000 followers on LinkedIn across our founding team, so 20,000, sorry. If we wanted to scrape all those followers, we could do that very, very quickly, very, very easily. So that's a very simple solution there that Apify also helps you do if you want a bit more context. I know KnowledgeNet enable leads like relationship-based outreach, which is obviously very important. But if you want to like scrape like data of yourself or of a competitor or of anyone else, you can use Apify to give you much more like socially rich context as well. And there you go. Those are the 4 kind of main tools that we would use. Then you would use your client's own data as well. The CRM is a treasure trove of information, of context about that specific lead source as well. No competitor can buy that, and that's actually a really rich source of information if the CRM is organized well, where you can actually pull context out of that CRM. And then obviously your own store. So as a lead gen partner, we've got a big store of data and emails, and we kind of pull from that. So we're not having to like constantly rerun those leads. And yourself as well, if you work with similar clients, you might want to build out the system. And you won't have to rerun those lead sources every single time and constantly like pay for that license. You can actually build out that lead once and then just pay that small amount if you want to like top it up periodically. So yeah, so kind of a bit more about enrichment and what it means. And I think like someone was asking about this earlier, but from the kind of website, enrichment, people think it's just about finding an email. Yes, finding an email is important, but you also want to look at their website. So, what do they sell? What do they provide? Who do they sell it to, and which market they target? This helps you kind of find more context about that company. And that's things like what Firecall and Apify enable you to do. They help you get a bit of judgment. Are they a good fit and why? I think someone's got a bit of background noise. John, that might be you. Thanks, John. Whether there might be a good fit, why not, and then something about their business. So, what the observation is, what you found about what the AI has found about their business, which will actually make them relevant or can make them a good fit for that specific client that we're working with. And one of the kind of clients that we're working with now is selling a tax benefit solution to organizations. So what we're using Firecall for, and they're selling this to B2B companies as a benefits enhancer to like help B2B companies who focus on benefits have this like tax liability coverage prevention system. So what we're doing is we're using Firecall and Apify to scrape the benefits of that company and to say, hi, I noticed that you were offering really great benefits such as X, Y, and Z, but have you considered offering like tax liability coverage benefits as well? Here's why it could potentially be interesting for you. And those 3 ideas are relevant to that specific company based off of the information that we've scraped with Firecall and Apify. And Firecall and Apify are fantastic tools. And I think building your lead database this way gives you so much more context that you can actually use in outreach, which you just wouldn't get with Zoom Info and Sales Navigator. You're trapped within their walls, whereas here you're like a free bird. You can fly, find more information, find more context, be more creative, be more strategic, and just really use your thinking hat to find as much context-specific information for outreach as possible. So yeah, quick note on finding emails here. We leverage our own store of emails. So as you start working with clients, say you work with a lot of manufacturing clients who target similar prospects, you can probably build this out yourself and actually find out, build out the emails as well, email list. And then you have that database that you can consistently use. We then also use pattern verification, and this is a bit more technical, but we use a variety of like different email catch-all tools and email verification tools, with Million Verify being our primary email verification tool. And then we also use a bit of paid providers as well, which helps us to kind of keep the cost down as well. So we leverage our own database. We then use Million Verify, which is basically pattern recognition. So if I was looking at John Noonan, I'd be like j.noonan@Sales Acceleration, john.noonan@Sales Acceleration, to find out what could be the best possible combination. And then we leverage a really, really cheap data provider as an API call to like figure out what that database would be. So yeah, just where all this information lives. I've been asked this before, and there's so many like places that you want to kind of keep this, and it is quite confusing where you want to keep this. People ask me, oh, should I keep this in? Should all this be in our CRM? I think keep the CRM squeaky clean and only have opportunities in there. I think if you're building out a lead universe of prospects, use a data warehouse. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but something like Snowflake, really good, like data warehouse that you can build, or Supabase, also very easy to use. That's Supabase. So store that raw leads, all that raw information, that context in Supabase, and then you want to do the outreach there. And then only when you generate a qualified lead do you actually put that into the CRM. Appreciate that might be a little bit technical, but what I mean is like keep the CRM squeaky clean, and then keep everything else, like your lead database, your testing in Supabase, which you can access programmatically via an API. So you can plug Supabase into a coding tool like Claude Code, like Codex, to build out that database as well. So yeah, so what kind of one finished lead costs? Kind of want to explain what this looks like. So let's say we read the site, this is what it costs us. We judge the fit, which is a model call, and John, this is like the ICP checker we're talking about. We find the email, so this is what it costs us leveraging our own database, but also Million Verify, which is pattern recognition, and also finding using cheap data providers. That's what it costs us per lead. We then verify that email address as well, is what you call email verification. And then if we were to write a personalized opening line for an email, it would cost us that per model. So we're looking at a total cost of a finished lead, which you've got the lead, context about the lead, you've got the email of that lead, and you've got the information to write a highly relevant personalized line for your outreach, which is obviously really important, which doesn't sound AI driven if you've prompted your models well, between $0.003 to $0.02 per lead. So let's say, not a center lead, but not a lot per lead, right? And that's a lot of data you're getting. It's not just the name of the prospect. You're getting a hell of a lot of information for that cost. So let's just say you're working with a market. You've got a small market of 10,000 prospects. So one of our CRO clients we're working with, they're going after a really niche kind of customer segment, and they've only got 10K prospects that they're going after. If you did the calculations there, it would only cost you. I think I did 0.03 times 10,000. So 0.02, sorry, times 10,000 is $200, right? So for that specific client, you could spend $200 and actually map out that entire market and have a lot of context about that customer, about your client's market, right? So compare $200 to $41,000 of Sales Nav and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Let's look at a bit of a bigger market, 50,000. You're spending $1,000 for an image leads. A huge market of 100,000 leads. Not many people have a market that big, but that would be 2,000 for all that image data. And if you have a huge market of 250,000 prospects, that would be $5,000 for all that information. And that's getting a lot of very context-specific information about your leads. So what this actually means, and what I really want you to get to think about today, I appreciate I got a bit technical. I know there's a bit of differences, and some people like to code more than others, and some people are more or less technical. But the core idea is spending a lot of money for access to a lot of tools is not a good use of money. It's not a good use of time, and it's not a good use of your own resources, especially your clients who are, between 5 and 50 million, are more budget conscious, and they don't necessarily need to be spending that. You don't need to spend any money up front, so you don't need to lock yourself into a contract. You don't need to spend money on a different tools. It's $0 up front, and your costs just only add up as you add more leads into it. And the costs are $0.02 per lead. So if you build out that system, it's pretty cheap and easy. If you want to go after 1,000 new leads, that's 0.02 times 1,000. That is $20, right? So you got $20. It's not a big cost. Whereas before you had to fork out so much money, and then you're constantly stressing about paying off that cost. So really something that I want you to get to think about is accessing lead data programmatically and building up your lead bases bottom up as opposed to top down. So yeah, I think what this kind of means in practice is, and I kind of use maybe a bit of a case study that we were using. We had a client, Visible, and the case studies on our website, who They were using a lead gen agency, and then I think they sent 30,000 emails to a loose list, which was pulled off of like Zoom Info, Sales Navigator, and a variety of these different tools. And they had, I think, 7 appointments, and half of those showed up, and 0 closed deals. And the reason for that is because a lot of the data was coming from like these relatively stale databases that they had to pay a lot of money for. And if you're locked into Zoom Info, Sales Navigator, you don't really want to like spend more money to acquire more data elsewhere if it doesn't exist within that wall. So what we did is we actually like build out the home market. We were able to, because we built out the scale and the cost-effective way to do that, of actually acquiring more context-relevant information about that customer segment, and we're able to generate, I think, 64 meetings in 3 months, and all of those were like one call closes, smaller ticket size, but you can see like the crux of that information, the crux of that success was down to our ability to enrich leads with high quality information and context at a fraction of the price of what you'd get for traditional databases. So yeah, kind of pause there. That's an overview of our session today. I've got some discussion questions to kind of share and discuss with the team, but see if you had any questions before we dive in. And Dan, you beat me to it.
Hey, Ben. Can you just flip back to that last slide again with your case study?
Yeah.
So knowing your model of paying per qualified meetings, your charge was to them based on 64 meetings, and this is the result they got in month 1. Is that right?
Yeah, this was over 3 months, and we're on like a paper qualified meeting set up with them. Yeah.
So give us just a rough idea. What would a client pay for those 64 meetings?
Yes. So it depends on the kind of ticket size of a client. What a client might be looking at. The smaller the company, 0 to 50 companies, 0 to 50 employees, it'd be about $500 per qualified attended lead. That's qualified attended shows up. And if you're going after enterprise, it'd be around $1,750 for that qualified attended lead.
$1,550, you said?
Yeah, 1,750 on the upper end for those kind of enterprise prospects. Yeah, but if we're mashing out the park with clients, which we do with a couple, including Visible, and they don't want their CAC getting out of control, we put these caps on, and we come up with like an agreement there to stop their costs spiraling out of control. So we always keep that. We always have that talk when we're like, hey guys, we love the meetings, but it's getting out of control. Can we cap it? And we come up with a cap there.
And with this particular client, how long did it take to get those 64 sales qualified meetings booked? Is that a 3-month period?
Yeah, this is a 3-month period. But yeah, our first meeting was booked within a week. We have an onboarding call, and then we launched within like a couple days, and then our first meeting's booked after a week. And then this is like 3 months of working with them.
Okay, thank you very much.
But there's so many different examples. Different clients have different sales motions. Some clients are easy to book meetings there than others, and depends on the size of the market and the offer as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a feel for the model and how it worked. But that's great. Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions about the content for today?
It was very educational, Ben. Sorry, Jeff, I jumped in. So very educational, loved all of it. By way of context, just so you know, for me goofing around with DeepLine it was close to 1,000 contacts. It was about 10 cents a piece. So yours is the process you're using certainly reaps it in a much better fashion. So I'll be coming to you guys to figure that one out for my clients, is for sure.
Yeah. DeepLine is great, and there are so many different types of tools. But Tim, my brother and founder, he's an AI wizard, and he's just always looking for the cheapest way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get it.
Jeff, over to you.
Yeah, a couple questions. First of all, Ben, the pricing that you're showing us for doing the work that you do, does that include your profit in that, or is that just a strict cost of utilizing these tools?
So I don't think I fully understood your question, Jeff.
So you were showing us different methodologies in the price per lead.
Yeah.
As you're doing that, did you include your profitability in that, or is that just the sheer cost of using those tools?
Yeah, that was just hypothetically what would it cost to like build out those lead lists.
Got it.
Like how you can actually build out those lead lists.
Good. And then the second question I have is, I've got clients that have big old lead lists that are sitting in CRM. So in HubSpot, nicely, now that they have actually a separate lead list. But do you have a tool that literally can scrape through the lead list they have and update the information, take out people that are no longer with those companies, update information in that or not?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what we call like CRM or like closed loss reactivation campaigns. We do this a lot for clients. It's a bit more sensitive because there's a lot of context that you have to filter through. So CRM has to be a little bit tidy. But you can access HubSpot's information via an API, pull that lead list there, leverage the context from those sales calls if that CRM has clean data, and then use that with publicly available information. So we do it sometimes. If the client has like really good context in the CRM, that would really make a difference with the outreach. But we don't actually necessarily need that for meetings. We can kind of go out and find a bunch of great information, publicly available information as well.
All right, thank you.
Cheers, Jeff. Michael, over to you.
Yeah, a different question for the group. Are you having any conversations with companies with the capabilities to continue to grow with the Quad Code, that they'll end up building their own lead list programs themselves and be completely separated from all these different groups that charge these recurring rates and take over that capability responsibility?
I'll jump in, Michael, if it helps. We sort of tackle it two ways. Depends on the size of the ICP. If it's a broad market, 10,000 companies or greater, we'll use like a revenue flow or I call them agencies. It's a terrible word, but we'll just use a service that allows us to go after the majority of it. And then for the top 200 or the must-win accounts where I've got AEs that are doing the full cycle prospecting, they're building out their own list. They're trying to figure out how to enrich that data. We're using other systems to be able to fill it all in. And yes, they are cobbling things together in order to be able to come up with the right information and also the signals that are out there that make a lot of sense for us to be able to chase down. So I think it's a dual approach, and it really depends on the size of the market that you're going after on how they build it. I do have a smaller client that has a very niche market that they are doing a lot of work on building their list properly because they can't burn through leads, and they're very specific about how they go after it. So that is using the combination of pieces together.
Yeah, but that to Michael to answer your question, that's exactly where the market is going. Instead of having all these expensive data providers, it's one tool which can access all this data by scraping it through other means and then giving you an API, which then has access to all of those different tools. So instead of paying for ZoomInfo, for Sales Navigator, for KnowledgeNet, for Seamless, all these tools, you have one API key that enables you to then access all of those tools. And I want to point to, I don't know if you guys are familiar with someone like Adam Robinson, who's like pretty big in the space. He's very, very big in the kind of go-to-market space. He's just launched like MultSets, which is like unlimited contact data APIs built for Clay and Claude Code for $27 a month. He's literally at beta and he's already at 200K ARR and he hasn't even released the product yet. The founder of Cold IQ, who are another very prominent go-to-market agency, he's left his $7 million agency to focus exactly on this, accessing data via an API to focus on that product. So the biggest and brightest minds, Adam Robinson's got business, SaaS business at like 20 mil ARR and he's got 80% profit, but he's like going all in on this because he thinks this is the future. Michelle Liebin is a founder of another agency, obviously, as I mentioned, doing this as well. Full Enrich, the CEO, is a good friend of mine as well. He's done the same thing, finding phone numbers, leveraging a bunch of different data providers via one API. So this is absolutely where the market is heading, and all the brightest minds in GTM are doing this. So definitely, this is where the future is heading. We've got 5 minutes left. Are there any other questions about the content, or I've kind of got one discussion question for the topic for the group, and then we can call it. There's no further question. Oh, I'll take that as no further question. I'd love to just ask, I've got 2 discussion questions, but like, how has the content that I've shared today like changed your perspective on list buildings and on the tools that you would actually buy to kind of go out and do it? And maybe who hasn't spoken? I'm gonna pick on someone. Nicole, what would be your thoughts on this? Maybe I haven't changed your perspective. Maybe you're like, no, I like my old tools. This is how it should be.
No. Listen, the more that I can learn about like how to do it, I think, well, first of all, it's amazing. And to think that we can go and build this on our own, I find very challenging. So unless you're doing what Steve, you and your partner are doing, you know, which is a little different than what I think we at SalesX are doing, going to someplace like Revenue Flow makes a lot of sense, because I'm not trying to be the AI expert either and being the expert at building lead lists, but I know my clients need them. Like, you know what I mean? It just goes to show like everything that's going on behind it. Listen, I've been looking for ways to move away from LinkedIn, desperately trying to move away from LinkedIn and ZoomInfo for years, because I just find that it's just a money grab, and I just knew that there was a smarter way to go about doing it. So actually understanding the mechanics behind it and what you showed is fascinating to me. So I really appreciate it. Not that I'm going to go and run out try to duplicate what you're doing. I don't have the time to do that. That's not what my strength is. So yeah, I have a fond appreciation for it. I think it's amazing. I will say, you know, finding 10,000 leads for some of my clients doesn't really make sense. You know, some of them, I think you mentioned having a client that's a lot more specific and they're a little bit more dialed in, and those leads become something that's it's not about the volume of them, it's about high quality leads because of just the nature of their business. But if you know, Revenue Flow can help to sort of decipher through that, that could really make up a really great partner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Nicole. And I think first thing I want to say is, you know, we obsess about this every day. This is what we do, but you can absolutely start like, you know, I really recommend like starting to just tweak with these tools yourself. It is really easy. It's not difficult. You get Prospero, get a Claude Code subscription. You just speak and type into it. Like it is doable. You don't need to be a tech genius. I'm not technical at all. Like I've got zero coding ability, and I'm able to kind of somehow maneuver my way around these tools. It is dead easy. So Nicole, like it's not just for us. You can do it. And then for that context point, you absolutely can. What you want to do is like, say your prospect's TAM is like total addressable markets like 50,000 leads. You want to find the best of those 50,000. So you want to like find all the 50,000 and then layer on so much context. So you find the best fit out of all of them, rank them from 1 to 50,000, and then hit the ones at the top, and then progressively work your way down. So this same solution helps you actually find the best fit within that TAM.
That's good. No, listen, I definitely want to go and try.
Yeah, definitely try it.
All the way. Hopefully, don't get mad at me for doing that. But I was like, oh my God, I'd love to try to just go and build this to see if I even have the touch to get it done. But no, I find it's fascinating what you showed. So thank you. It gives me a fond appreciation for what we're paying for, or what the client's paying for, and how we bring you in, and what you're actually doing, and all the things that go on behind it. Because I think there's just so much crap out there on the lead gen side that you explaining it like, you know, really provides a lot of credibility for the service. That's for sure.
Cool. And I think well, thank you. I really appreciate it, Nicole. I think my vision for this roundtable isn't just to kind of, we don't just want to sell ourselves, but we actually want to like upskill you guys so that you actually have the ability to kind of go out and build out your own lead lists. And, you know, Dan, you were talking about hosting a seminar in London. You can use Prospero and Claude Code to build out that lead list and maybe launch your own campaign. Like, why not go out and do that for your own business? So, I think that would be quite cool for you. Awesome.
Now, Ben, real quick, do you guys? I noticed that a lot of the solutions that you're putting out are they're evolved around Claude Code or Claude. So, like for a lot of my clients and stuff, you know, we, as far as our AI solutions that we're pushing, we're talking to about, you know, integration, or more around the GenSpark side of the house, where, you know, they're taking instead of investing in any one platform like Anthropic or whatnot, they're taking Spark takes Anthropic, it takes Gemini, it takes all these other flavors of AI, It puts it into a single dashboard. And basically what happens is that, as we're generating bots, as we're putting together GPTs for that matter, we're putting them together, and they're being leveraged across all of the AI platforms out there, not just one particular one. So with this itself, have you a client, or have you had somebody that you've known that have taken something like this that you've built and actually built it into an environment that I would call would be a Swiss Army knife, used by like all the different high-end flavors of, OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, you see where I'm going at. So this is just one flavor, but I'm wondering if you, like with us, we're playing around in the GenSpark AI space where it's taking all these flavors, putting them all under one hood. And as we're making the queries, what it's doing is it's picking the right path for it to go find, because Claude is not always
David, appreciate it. Get the context there.
Yeah.
Just on time here. I know everyone, please feel free to jump off. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you all so much for showing up. I'll send the recap so you all have it, and see you in a couple of weeks all. Appreciate it, Evan.
Thanks, Ben. Nice meeting everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, everyone. See you in a couple of weeks. David, I do have to jump in a minute because I've got another call. Has David gone? Appreciate everyone. Cheers.
Oh, well.
Gonna answer David's question, but he's jumped off. Thanks, everyone. See you in a couple of weeks. Bye.